Hi everyone, my name is Stephen Weston. I am the chair of the ITF HQ Umpire Committee, and assisting me in this video today will be Mr. Eric Holland, who will be performing the techniques of power braking. So we're going to look at the rules and how to perform power braking for ITF HQ competition. So in today's session, I'll explain the rationale behind power braking and who should compete in this event. I'll briefly talk about the divisions and techniques and equipment that are used. I'll then discuss how you must qualify to complete this event and outline the procedures and protocols for both competitors and umpires for qualification. Then I'll explain the scoring system and what penalties might be imposed for breaching the rules. I'll then outline how competitors continue once they're qualified, and then we can look at what happens if there is a tie. Before moving on, looking at team events and how they differ from individual competition. And finally, I'll look at the differences between World Championship events and national or local competition. We're going to look at power braking, and you can find a copy of the rules of competitions for power braking on the itfofficial.org website, where you'll find copies of these rules set out on that website. Before you do the practical umpire course, you need to complete the online testing of the rules for ITF HQ, power braking and other disciplines within ITF HQ competition. You can find those rules tests on the itfofficial.org website as well. So today we're just going to have a look at power braking. And I'll just explain to you the rationale behind power braking and who should compete in this event. So I'll briefly talk about the divisions and the equipment that we use. If you're watching this video, you probably already know a little bit about power braking in ITF competition. And you'll be aware that the purpose of this event is to determine the competitor or team that can achieve the most points using both powerful technique and strategy when performing the designated techniques for the event. In order to ensure that only competitors who are reasonably skilled at this event can fully compete in the competition, what we decided was that we'd have a qualifying break that must be performed and gain sufficient points in using one of the techniques required for this event in order to continue through to do the rest of the techniques. So to ensure fairness, the competitor can choose their first designated technique that they want to use to qualify for the event. The divisions for both individual and team event can be found in the rules, as I've stated before, and specific techniques that outline the appropriate tools, etc., and the minimum standards of boards and equipment are also outlined for each division. So, how does one qualify for this event? Firstly, and importantly, the competitor must outline their choice of technique that they wish to qualify with when they complete their competition form. They should also on this form outline the number of boards they wish to attempt to break at or above the minimum level for the rest of the techniques that they will perform to qualify for the event. So this is an important strategic component to maximise the scoring the competitor can make during the event. Okay. As a coach, I recommend that my competitors choose their second best technique to qualify for the event, since this will allow them to use the maximum number of boards they can break for their most favoured technique, and thereby score the highest number of points that they can during the event. So let's now look at the actual procedure the competitors and umpire follow during the event. Firstly, we'll examine the qualifying technique. To start with, I suggest that all registered competitors for a division are assembled and perform their qualifying break in sequence. The order of competitors may be randomised by the tournament committee and the competitors arranged in the holding areas in that order to ensure efficiency. So firstly, we'll examine the qualifying technique. So if the numbers of umpires permit, then there should be 5 possible stations that coincide with a particular technique, with an umpire at each station to oversee that technique. Or if most competitors choose one specific technique, for example side piercing kick, then competitors may be grouped into equal numbers so that the event is run as efficiently as possible. Since the umpire committee will have the information on the entry sheets, the system used should be worked out prior to the event, ensuring the umpires have the appropriate score sheets for the competitors that they're judging. When a competitor is called by the umpires to perform their qualifying technique, they'll be given the opportunity to adjust the height of the boards in the machine by indicating to the assistants who are setting up the boards, and all those boards have been are checked between each break for the integrity of the board. So they're put into the machine, and the assistants will be able to raise and lower the machine. But the competitor at this stage should not touch the machine or the boards. So they just will stand in front of the boards and say up or down according to their desired height for the particular break that they're performing. So when the competitor is called by the umpire to perform their qualifying technique, they'll be given the opportunity to adjust the height of the boards. Now, this competitor has already done so. So what happens now is that the referee or umpire places a flag in front of the competitor and between the board. The competitor's in an L stance guarding block at this stage. From here, the umpire drops a flag with the command "Sijak," giving the competitor 30 seconds to adjust the distance and do a measure from their L stance guarding block position. They do their measure, come back to the L stance guarding block, perform their technique, when they return to L stance guarding block, the referees count to 3, hard tool set, and either raise the flag for a good break, take the flag to the side where they see an infringement of the technique, or drop the flag to the floor, which indicates a disqualified technique. So on this occasion, the competitor easily broke all 3 boards with no infringements. So the boards are examined before the score is given. Okay. Given that there were 3 boards broken, each broken board is worth 3 points. Each cracked board, and a cracked board means a board that is deformed in some way, and the boards are separated by 5 millimeters minimum, or is deformed by being slightly angled. Okay, each deformed board or cracked board is worth 1 point. So on this occasion, the competitor broke 3 boards, which means that he scores 9 points. And at this point, once the boards have been examined, the umpires demonstrate the score on the score chart, both to the competitor and to the jury president. So in order to qualify and proceed further in the breaking competition, competitors must achieve a minimum final score from their qualifying break, equivalent to 50%, breaking 50% of the boards of that attempt. So if they have 3 boards, they have to score at least 4.5 points in order to move further. So once a competitor has qualified, what happens next? The jury president will now organise the competitors who have qualified for the event into groups that are allocated to specific pairs of umpires, so they can all sequentially perform the remainder of their breaks. The umpires will use the requested breaking information provided by the competitor prior to the event to ensure the assistants place the correct numbers of boards in the appropriate holder for the technique. The competitors will then make their attempt on each technique, following the protocol as they did for the qualifying round. As mentioned, to ensure efficiency, one set of umpires will be allocated to each competitor, so that these umpires record all the scores for that competitor. This method will allow the score sheets to be produced that allocate the competitors into groups associated with specific umpires. This should eliminate the possibility of misidentifying competitors, which could possibly occur if umpires were allocated to specific stations. This does, however, mean that the umpires must ensure that they are conversant with the performance of all and the potential infringements associated with the particular technique. Once competitors have completed their breaks, the results will be tallied and announced by the jury present. In the case where there is a tie for first or second place, the competitors involved will be asked to choose one of the eligible techniques, and an extra reward, more than their last attempt at that technique, will be added, and the competitors will be required to perform that break. This procedure will be continued until the first, second, and third place competitors are at a stadium. So it should be noted that there are always two umpires examining the performance of the competitor. So if an umpire sees an infringement of the rules, then they'll extend their flag to the side, as I pointed out earlier on. So that indicates an infringement's occurred, and the umpires confer and reduce the score according to the number of infringements seen once the boards have been examined. So what are the things that you can get an infringement for? So the first one is failing to take a measure. So if the competitor doesn't do their measure, then they lose 1 point. Failing or taking more than one measure is an infringement. So if they touch the board a few times, each time they touch it after their first measure, then it's considered to be an additional measure, and they lose 1 point for each of those measures. Not coming back to an L-stand guarding block following the measure. Loss of balance when performing or following the attempt. Not returning to an L-stand guarding block following the attempt. And finally, taking more than 30 seconds for the attempt. Every 5 seconds after that 30 seconds for their attempt is considered to be a 1 point deduction. Now, if the competitor is seen by the umpire to breach the procedure such that their technique results in a disqualification, and those are outlined in the rules, then the umpire will point their flag to the ground. And again, that umpire will confer with the other umpire and the jury present, and a decision will be made whether the competitor is disqualified. So what are the reasons for disqualification? So we only disqualify people when we believe that the infringement that they're doing will provide an advantage in power generation by modifying the technique such that additional momentum is gained by taking more than one step or using a different attacking tool. So what are the things that we look at to disqualify a competitor? So the first thing is using the incorrect technique or the tool. The tools that we are required to use in our techniques are all outlined in the rules. Or having both feet off the ground when kicking. Having only one foot on the ground when striking with the hand. Taking more than one attempt to break. Or taking more than one step towards the board. Those are the sorts of things we look for. So once the competitor has qualified, we need to look at performing the rest of the breaks. So for males, this is usually done in the sequence of side kick, turning kick, reverse turning kick, knife head strike, 4-fist punch. Of course, leaving out the one break that they perform for their qualifier. For females, we substitute the reverse turning kick for a back kick and the 4-fist punch with an elbow thrust. So let's have a look at them in sequence. We're going to leave out the turning kick because the competitor has already performed that. So the competitor is going to do the side piercing kick first. The referees place a flag between the competitor and the boards and says, sit jack, starting the clock for the 30 seconds. Competitor does their measure, steps back into the L stance guarding block, performs their attempt. On the count of 3, the umpires will make the decision on the break. Hana to set, and it shows clean break. Okay. The score is now made, and in this case there were 4 boards in the holder, and so the score for this technique is shown as 12 points, and to the jury president. Now we're going to demonstrate the procedure for reverse turning kick. Again, the competitor is an L stance guarding block. Sit jack. They adjust for their measure. Take their measure. And then back into L stance guarding block for the attempt. Wait for the decision of the referees, Hana to set, and the score. Clear that there are 2 boards broken here, which give the score 6 points. 6 points to the competitor. So now we're going to look at the knife hand upward strike, or knife hand inward strike. Again, starting in the L stance guide. See jack. Makes the measure. Back into L stance guarding block. Makes the attempt. And back into L stance guarding block. Hana till set. And scoring, in this particular case, we can see that boards are cracked but not broken, which gives a score of 2 points. Now we're going to look at the 4-fist punch break. See jack. Again, the judge's score, Hana to set. And on this occasion, we can see that there are 2 very clearly deformed boards, which gains a score of 2 points. So now we're going to look at the procedure for back kick break. This is the women's substitute for the reverse turning kick. Jack. Measure, L stance guarding block. The attempt. And the decision, Hana to set. So on this occasion, there was a slight loss of balance on the finish of the technique, and therefore a -1 minus point is deducted from the score. As we can see, there were 3 boards broken. That means that the score will be given as 8 points. So now we're going to look at the elbow thrust, which is the substitute for women for the 4-fist punch. And see jack. Hana to set. On this occasion, both boards are broken, and so the score once again is 6 points. So one of the aspects about ITHQ power breaking competition is it does allow you a little bit of strategy. As I said earlier, you're allowed to add boards above the minimum for the additional breaks after you're qualifying. So this allows you to score extra points. So the more boards you can break above the minimum, the higher your score will be. So that's why I recommend only using your second best break as your qualifier. That allows you to make sure that you can add more boards for your best break and therefore score higher points. So how does team breaking differ from individual power breaking? Well, of course, now we have a number of team members performing breaks. So prior to the event, the team members will, on the competition application form, indicate the technique that they will perform and the number of boards at or above the minimum set by the tournament committee. Note that there's no qualifying technique for team breaking. The procedure for team breaking is substantially as for individual breaking, with boards being set in the specific stations as required and the heights adjusted prior to the attempt by each team member. So the same pair of umpires will assess each of the team members' breaks and record the results. The jury president will allocate teams to specific umpire pairs. In the event of a tie, then the team will perform one break that will be repeated with an additional board above the last attempt at that break. The same competitor who performed that technique on the first occasion will be required to attempt the tie break. Finally, I'd like to discuss the modifications that we use for World Cup and national events that provide division for colour bands. An important consideration here is that we must only allow competitors over the age of 14 years to participate in power breaking. This is because the cartilage traits in the skeleton of young people are still developing, and we must ensure that we do not permanently injure our competitors through their participation in this event. We also reduce the number of breaks for these competitors to perform 3 as opposed to 5. We also reduce the number of boards in each of these events and the tension of the boards. But once again, to improve the efficiency of the event, we hold a qualifying round to eliminate those competitors whose skills are not sufficient to compete in this event. Once the qualification round is completed, the competitors complete the rounds in the same way as outlined previously at a World Championship event. The protocols for breaking are the same, with infringements and disqualifications being applied as per the rules for black belts in World Championship events, but perhaps with a little less stringency. So the final thing I should mention is the equipment for breaking. ITFHQ recommends the use of Gorilla board holders combined with the UMAB boards that are available in different colours to provide different breaking tensions. The choice of this brand holder was because the holders are able to be rapidly adjusted, they're easy to load and very robust. They have no sharp edges and can be transported easily to the venue since they weigh less than 5 kilograms each. The UMAB boards are also really resilient and consistent in their breaking strength. They have no sharp edges, they're easily put back together and should easily show a cracked board as well as a fully broken one. But the holders should be placed on either a solid wall or a robust and heavy machine that will not move when struck. A design for such a machine is available from the umpire committee. So that basically completes this presentation on power breaking for ITFHQ competition. I hope you've enjoyed and gained insight into this exciting event, which shows amazing power generated by skilled practitioners of ITF Taekwondo. Thanks for watching, and feel free to contact me should you wish to host a training seminar for umpires on ITFHQ competition. I'll be happy to put you in contact with a member of the ITFHQ committee in your area. Thank you everybody, take one.